Hey guys, today I'm going to be doing my review for the HG Freedom Gundam Revive version. So I'm just going to come off and say it right out of the bat. This is my least favorite of the three Revive kits that we've got so far, and that doesn't have anything to do with the fact that I prefer UC to Seed. I don't hate Seed at all. I'm not one of those people that just thinks Seed is like the worst thing ever. I don't really have anything against it personally. It's not one of my favorite series, but I don't really have anything against it, even though like a lot of people complain about they don't like the Freedom Gundam because of the wings, and the wings are stupid, and the beam spamming and all that stuff. I don't really personally care too much about any of that. It's just that as far as the kits go, this is my least favorite of the three. I think it was absolutely just as necessary as the other two, and it is definitely an improvement on the original HG, but just compared to the Gundam and the Gun Cannon, which were really great kits and really solid, and I think were amazing to work with. This one is just a lot more difficult to do, and I think Bandai had a lot more on their plate. I mean a lot more to do with this kit, as in like what they have to do. They have these big wings in the back, they have these rail guns for the side skirts, and a lot more going on than just like a really simple mobile suit like a Gundam or a gun cannon. So did they bite off more than they can chew with trying to make this comparable to those kits? Possibly. It does have a lot of good features here. We have a lot of really great engineering, of course, with the Revive line. That's one thing that they're doing very well. But there are some negative points I will point out. So let's just get this rotating around. I hope it's not going to fall. I would have liked to put the wings back at more of an angle, but the reason I have them straight out to the side is to try to keep the weight somewhat balanced, because it's obviously going to be very back heavy, very difficult to get it to stand like this without the use of an action base. So as you can see, although it's difficult, it is totally possible to make it stand without an action base, but having some sort of base is definitely going to be very, very helpful. I personally even think that Bandai probably should have included a base with this kit, with it being like the 35th anniversary Revive line. They want these kits to be kind of special and nice and new, and it doesn't really serve Bandai much good to put this much engineering into like this nice new kit, and then you also have to go out and buy an action base to be able to see any of that. I mean, this is basically unless you have it in sort of some other sort of kneeling down pose or something, you're very, very limited in getting too much of any sort of dynamic pose out of this kit without the use of an action base. So I think for Bandai to just include one of their, just like the HG, just that kind of standard kind of base, not an articulated one, just a kind of really basic base in this kit, would have been a huge advantage, I think. So, but again, we can't control everything Bandai does. So another big thing that I want to point out about this kit is its use of stickers. So whereas with the Gundam and the Gun Cannon, the use of the stickers was not that prominent, but on this there's quite a lot of them, and I think it was necessary, but there are some areas where I think it definitely could have been avoided. So let's go ahead and go over some of the articulation, because with this being a Revive kit, the articulation, as you would expect, is pretty good. So the head is going to be pretty normal, just up about like that, down nice and far like that, and then just side to side and all of that stuff that a head does. Now, like the Gundam, the polycaps in the shoulders are going to rotate up. So rather than most HGs these days where they're either going forward or back, like the Revive ARC 782 Gundam, they're moving up. So that's going to give you some nice upward movement there at the shoulder, and then of course you can bring the arm up to just about there before that arm is basically coming out of the polycap. So something like that. So pretty good upward angle. Then of course if you rotate your arm, you can then have the fist pointing basically straight up. So pretty good there. The arms themselves are what you would expect from a recent HG, double jointed elbow. Pretty cool design there for the elbow armor, how this part is sort of made into the elbow joint, but it kind of looks like the elbow armor is moving there with that. So that's kind of cool. And then the wrist is just polycap. The seam lines here are just going to be part of the design. So once it is coming apart there, so it is noticeable, but once you've got this glued and painted, you aren't going to have to actually remove any seam line. Just putting some glue in there I think will keep those parts from coming apart. It is a molded detail, so it's made to look like there is no seam there, so pretty good engineering there. Here in the waist, again, it has that same kind of joint that's able to move it forward in the stomach, but the problem that I'm having is that it pops very easily off of this ball joint which connects the top half to the lower half, but you are able to move it forward. Let me see if I can do it a little bit there. It's going to be hard to see with all this stuff in the way, but it is able to move forward a bit there, do a little bit of an ab crunch, and then back is going to be a little bit, but I believe that is going to be mostly, it's just got stuff falling off all over the place. For the time being, if you guys don't mind, I'm just going to take off this stuff, move these wings kind of back out of the way. Annoying. Alright, so yeah, I think a lot of that movement in the waist is going to be coming from this section here, this ball joint which is connecting the top and bottom half. So you just have to sort of move it on that without overextending it where it's going to come off, but you can move it around on that there in the center. So that's pretty good. Oh, I forgot these things here in the shoulders do not move with, like, I believe probably the MG, and those do move, and with the RG I believe as well, but here those parts are not moving at all, so those are just stuck in place there. For these skirts, we obviously have the front skirts which are able to move independently if you cut them apart. The back skirt does not move at all, but we have a very, very long back skirt there. The side skirts are rail guns. I'll get back to those in a minute. So the legs, then able to rotate, get a nice double joint there in the knee. Really nice motion there. Definitely no complaints from me about the knee joints. The ankles are okay, but because of the design of this ankle armor, it's very low and very small, so you aren't going to be able to move the feet around too much within the boundaries of that ankle armor. So if you want like a really wide stance, not going to be able to do it keeping the feet flat. I do like the design of the feet though. They are very narrow and thin, pointed. I think it looks very good with the design. Overall, I will say just the proportions of this kit are great. So the articulation for the most part and the proportions is all very good, and I think that's what Bandai really wants to do with these Revive kits, is work on the proportion and the articulation. So that is totally a success. I think they definitely succeeded there. No complaints about any of that. We do even have some movement here in the toe. The toe is able to point down, so that's pretty nice. Under the feet, again, not full detail there. We do have some empty cavities. That's disappointing, but pretty minimal, so not really too much to complain about there. These fins on the back, where there's the thrust underneath there, those aren't able to move at all, so those are just stuck in place. Now let's talk about the side skirts. Here we are, very, very, very similar to the RG, I think. So they're just going to open up and point out like that. And then we've got our railgun on the side skirt, and then the handle can just flip out. I believe, according to the video that I saw on HLJ, the HobbyLink TV, their YouTube channel, when they talked about this kit, the old HG did not have this secondary handle here on the railgun, so that's pretty nice that it's included this time. And that just folds up very nicely. What I do not like about this is that the red on the tips is a red sticker on both ends, so it's just a sticker that wraps around and even like folds over the edge here. Doesn't look very good. I think that should have been a red piece on the end, on both ends, just a small red piece to go on there, again, like the RG. I know it's like a small piece and like, I don't know, it's just an HG, but for something like that, it's so easy to make as a piece. I don't really know why Bandai didn't just make those separate pieces. So that is a big negative point for me. I understand the need for stickers on an HG kit. They can't make it totally color separated, but for something like that, that should have been an extra piece. Like here on the chest, That's a red piece. Here on the front skirt, that's a red piece. Here on the shoulders, those are red detail pieces. So if you've got these red detail pieces everywhere else, adding a couple more for those, I think, should have been included. Just speaking about the chest again as well, it is a really nice design here in the chest. I think a lot of really good proportions and color separation there. These kind of lighter blue parts there for the inside of the vents, as well as the neck. You will have to paint the Vulcans there in the chest, but not really too big of a deal. They had as well some nice color separation there with the gray piece inside of there, sort of the sides of the cheek, and then the red, of course, for the chin and head like usual. The parts for the V-fin, both, I believe, if I remember correctly, both the white parts and the yellow parts did have the little HG flags on there to protect the points. I just cut and filed those to make that smooth on there. Let's get around to the wings then. The wings are obviously a big part of this kit. One more sticker here on the center of the backpack. And the wings are very solid, so I think that was one thing I was worried about with this kit, was the how rigid these wings are going to be, if they're going to be able to support the weight well. And I have to say that they definitely do. So we're able to rotate them side to side, up and down, of course, and then back, front to back. So you're able to get quite a range of movement out of these, and then of course they're going to open up. These parts are separate. The back part is only going to go up that high. The front part obviously much higher all the way around essentially, so higher than you're ever really going to need or want. Then of course the cannons are able to come up and then point forward like so. I think I'm doing something wrong here. Let me see. Should be like this. There we go. Should be all the way around like that. This red here on the cannon as well is also a sticker, two stickers, one on each side that connect here in the center. Here again is a place where I think that could have been a red piece. It's a little bit larger one, so maybe this one is more understandable as a sticker, but I think it could have been, again like the RG, another red piece that we just stick up on, or we stick onto the white part and then we stick the blue part on top of the red piece. So that one is maybe more forgivable, but again, I think probably could have been a red part. Otherwise, the cannons are very, very simple. Just going to fold like that. I have found that rotating the wings and cannons, like moving them a lot, loosens them very quickly. So let me just show you like that. See, it's already coming off. This part where these the wings and the cannon feed together in here loosens up very quickly, so just be careful if you're moving that around. If you just move it a few times, it's already going to be loose, so just moving it up like that, it's fine, but then move it back down, it's probably loose. Move it up one more time and then down, it's going to be even more loose, and coming apart, you just need to press it back together really firmly there. So the wings overall pretty good. They are able to go up and stay up without any weight issues. They're not going to be falling back down, so that's good. That was one of my big concerns about this kit, and I'm happy to say that it's not really too big of an issue. Now let's talk about some of the accessories. So as we can see, and as they've been very annoyingly falling off of the side skirts a lot, we have the beam saber handles attached onto these side skirts. Now we do have two of them, and as you would, I'm just going to put that there because it's not going to stand up. As you would expect, they are able to fit together, so we are just able to interlock those together like so, and then we have our double-ended beam saber, and then we of course have our beam saber effect parts, which are able to plug into both sides of there like so, and there we have a double-ended beam saber. Now I've said before, I don't remember when was the last time I looked at one of these, but what was that? Maybe the DJ. I think I said that, where I don't like double-ended beam sabers, or in that case it was a Naginata, but I just prefer it to be just one, so you can separate those. And then these fit easily into the hands without any issue like that, so no problem there. The problem is that these hands are the only hands that we get. So again, no open hand. It would have been nice to at least have one open hand for the left hand, but no, all we have is just two holding hands, no open hands, no closed fist, no trigger finger even. That's kind of disappointing. Again, in this day and age, you'd think we'd at least get 3 hands, but to only get 2 hands total in the entire kit is kind of disappointing. So speaking of trigger fingers, we do also have the beam rifle. This has some blue stickers on it. This, because it's a weapon, I can forgive the stickers on that. Pretty understandable in this case that they wouldn't want to put too many parts into an HG weapon. The secondary handle is able to move side to side, and that's it. No sticker for the sight, as it does have this kind of unique design inside there. Pretty nice weapon altogether. I mean, I know it's definitely better than the old HG, not quite as nice as the RG, but I mean, I suppose that's exactly where you would expect it to lie. Let's go ahead and pop this in the hand. In this case, we do need to open up the hand to put this weapon in place. There's no trigger finger, and there's also no like slot in the hand. It's only held in there just by a tight grip, basically. There's no sort of extra thing to help keep that in place. So I'm really struggling getting that in and knocking off the V-fin. That is a good point though, how I knocked off the V-fin. The V-fin seems to be staying in place very good now, at least like the white part of the V-fin, but this white part of the V-fin as well as the red piece in the top of the head, I had some trouble getting it in at first. It's like I said, it seems solid and in place now, but at first I couldn't really get it in very well, and like even putting it in, it was still very loose. And now it seems okay, but I wonder if anyone else has had any issues with that. So here is the beam rifle. Of course, not going to be too much of any issues with the weight with that. Should be fine. But the final accessory, let's talk about this. Here is our shield. Now this is a red piece, but this side part is not a red piece. That one I think definitely should have been a red piece as well, but that's just a red sticker that wraps around on there. I like the design of the Freedom shield. It's pretty simple. We just have this handle here on the back. For some reason there is this extra hole there, but according to the manual I couldn't find any use for that. You can take this handle out and plug it into that hole instead, but it doesn't ever say to do that. It seems like that should be the place where you're going to have a connection piece that wraps around the arm to help support the shield connected to the arm. But we don't have any piece like that. This handle is the only connection piece that connects it to the kit. Now if you look on the arm, there's not even any place to plug in anything on the arm. So all you can do for the shield is just plug this handle down into the hand, and that's it. And it doesn't hold it well at all. This is terrible. I hate this. This is definitely the worst point about this kit. The shield, it cannot hold the shield at all. Maybe I'm doing something wrong, but like if you angle it like correctly and you get it like wedged in there in the right way, you can hold it like this, but that doesn't look good at all. Just holding it straight up and down like this, there's just no way that you can hold it in any way that looks good. It's just awful. I really don't know what happened with that, why there's no connection piece to wrap around the arm. It's just silly. Like, I really don't get it at all. If you are going to have the arm up like this in some sort of pose, actually like using the shield, it's not going to be an issue because you can have it up like that and you're not going to notice any sort of problem with that. But if you just want to be able to just hold the shield just down, it's just silly. Like, you have to angle the wrist like that to have the shield kind of like leaning against the arm. Otherwise, it's just terrible. So I am so disappointed with that. That just really kills like the mood for this. I really like the shield for this Gundam, and to not be able to use it is just really sad. So let me get the action base and then we'll take a look at some posing of this kit. Alright, so as I was saying, I mean, the shield is usable, but you have to get it in some sort of pose like this where it just, I mean, there are a certain few poses that you can do with this, but there just is not too many of them. It's just kind of disappointing. You're able to get some good poses. I mean, one thing that I've found with all of the kits in the Revive line so far is that it's pretty easy to get some awesome poses out of them. Just the way that they look the kind of proportions of the kit combined with the great articulation of them do make them great for posing. That's one thing I will say for sure about all of the Revive kits, including this one. But the big drawback of this one is going to be those weapons. I mean, and accessories. The shield, just not being able to hold the shield very well. And even the beam rifle, I had some issues getting that into the proper position. I think it can be a lot just in terms of the, just because of the design of the beam rifle, how it's very front heavy. The handle is situated very far back on the rifle, and there's not really too much behind the handle. Everything pretty much is out to the front of the handle. So that could be an issue with that. One thing I did forget to mention is that on the beam rifle there is a peg that allows you to attach the beam rifle to the back of the skirt armor there. You'll see that port in the back of the skirt armor. You can plug the beam rifle onto there if you want, just for storage. So yeah, I don't know. It looks great, great articulation, pretty good color separation, but I feel like a lot of those red stickers should have been parts. We've definitely got some pros and cons going there. And this is one reason why I don't care too much for double-ended beam sabers, is because I find it very difficult to pose them in any way that looks good. Any sort of attacking pose doesn't really look good for me. Any sort of like just about to attack pose doesn't really look good for me, and even sort of just like standing menacing like badass pose, even I can't really get. After trying to experiment and tweak some sort of pose using this weapon, this is about the best I could come up with, and even this I'm not really all that happy with. But I mean, I just wanted to be able just to at least show that weapon in use in some sort of pose for you guys. So here it is, but I don't think it's really all that exciting of a pose. Alright, so as we're now going to wrap up the review, I think this is another pose that I'm not particularly happy with, and I've found kind of quite difficult to do. It's sort of all guns out, beam spamming attack, and yeah, not very easy to do, I think. But then again, I'm no expert when it comes to posing the Freedom, so you guys could probably do much better than I in this case. So sorry about that. This is about the best that I can do at this time. So anyway, yeah, hopefully you guys can forgive that. And not all that much else I can say about this kit. There are definitely some things that have left me pretty disappointed with this kit. I think if you're a fan of the Freedom Gundam and either can't afford the Master Grade, or maybe can't find the Master Grade, or maybe don't want something that large, then this is going to be a great kit for you. I mean, if you like the Freedom, then this is definitely going to be a great kit. It's definitely a great version of the Freedom, I'll definitely say that. If you just want a really nice HG kit, I think that this might not be the one for you. I think this is definitely going to be the one of those kits that's going to appeal a lot more to fans of the Freedom and fans of the Seed series, and maybe not all that much to people who maybe aren't familiar with the series, or just aren't really a fan of this particular look. The good points, though, that it does have really great proportions, great articulation. It's just with all of that stuff going on, I think Bandai couldn't put the quality maybe into everything as much as they could just in certain areas, like the proportions and the articulation. So sorry, but yeah, so I don't know, I'm very much looking forward to the next Revive kit, which is going to be the Gundam Mark II. I think that kit's going to be much, much better. Not because it's a UC kit, but just because it's kind of going back to like the Gundam and the Gun Cannon, where it's just a pretty simple design, and it's fairly minimal in terms of what they have to do. Basically, it's basically just like the Gundam, with just a little bit more armor and stuff going on with it. So I think that one's going to be a much better kit than this. This one, yeah, basically my ruling on this is just have to be, it's a good kit, but unless you're a fan of Seed or a fan of the Freedom Gundam, I would probably just pass on it. That's, again, just my personal feeling on it. Anyway, let me know what you guys think of it down below. I'm sure some of you have got this kit and maybe have different feelings about it than I do. let me know. I would love to hear it. Otherwise, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.